Hi, good afternoon, it's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, in this upload I thought we'd have a look at the jet streams, temperatures around the world and precipitation, and just try and make some sense of what we're looking at to come in the next, I don't know, 5 or so years as we continue not to reach equilibrium, which means we haven't got to a point yet where things begin to get better. So if that's the case, we can just assume that more agricultural land is going to go offline as a result of the climatic changes taking place, and we know why they are taking place. It's largely down to two anomalies coinciding with each other. First of all, we've got the rarest, which is the geomagnetic reversal, over 500,000 years overdue. As you know, every 350,000 years it used to go for a reversal. We seem to have got a strange reversal going on now, 500,000 years late, and it is more interesting for that reason, and also non-comparable with all the other reversals. There is something new taking place this time round. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we've got a diagram of where our jet streams should be. You can see we've got the polar jet stream and the subtropical jet stream just over the northern hemisphere, but it is the same over the southern hemisphere as well. We should have two distinguishable jet streams. If you just look at the image, which is an old image of North Skull jet streams, we can see that there's a heavy band somewhere in between 30 and 60 degrees north, and it is one jet stream. So that means that we have already noticed big changes with our jet streams on our planet, and this is a big thing. I'm going to show you later on what our jet streams look like today. I'm going to show you some residual humidity footage as well, so that you can get an idea. When the residual humidity hits 100%, we start to get precipitation, and I think you're going to find it shocking. Because as opposed to getting weather patterns, this is what our farmers are having to deal with. Regular weather seasonal patterns we no longer do, and we have a mix-up now at any given time of the year, and that is regardless of where we are on the tilt of our orbit around our sun. Because if you're in the northern hemisphere, when we're further tilted on the orbit around the sun, we're in our winter, and the southern hemisphere is in its summer. Where we are right now is just about in between the two. So we're neither in the winter, we're neither in the summer. We are probably 3 months away from being in the middle of winter, just like the southern hemisphere is 3 months away from being in the summer. So we're about equilibrium at the moment, but regardless of that, there is no distinguishable weather, seasonal weather, should I say, that you would expect for this time of the year. And this is the new norm that we're all going to have to get used to. So before I get into it, again, always the way, isn't it? Just a few people to thank, and big thanks to Doug. You are our superstar and the foundation of maverickstar Observatory here, and I know Jen, Bob and Kathy are with you on the support that you give us on the observatory. I can only thank you here on behalf of every subscriber that we've got and visitor to the website. You really are worthy of a trophy. And it's not just you guys as well, it's all our superstars that have the magnetometers, it's our patrons, and it's the one-off people that put a bit of donation in on the PayPal account. Without you guys, we couldn't do and have done what we have done to date. And you can't blame me for being very grateful and saying thank you. And for that reason, I believe a few others should chirp in the comment section and just thank these people. If you want to help support what we do, you want to become one of our superstars, there are a few links down there. You can become a patron, and you can make a one-off donation on PayPal. You can also go over to our website, and we've got a rare button that's rarely pressed on that website. It would be great to see a few more. I just want to mention as many people as I can. So Brian, Kendall, Susan, from San Francisco. I don't know why I always have to mention that, Susan, but I just do, don't I? So, you know, big thanks to you guys. Okay, let's get in and have a look at our jet streams, what's going on our world. So, okay, let's hit the road running with a look at the temperatures. As you can see, Northern Hemisphere covered in sub-zero temperatures, just like the Southern Hemisphere is right now. Usually, 3 months ago, the Northern Hemisphere would have had not so much density in terms of low temperatures like it's got right now. You can see that coming straight off the Arctic Circle over Siberia down into Russia, and you know, you can see how you know, sub-zero temperatures we've got down there in the Antarctic. I'm just going to read them. I know you can't see them. We're at 54 degrees there minus Celsius, another 52 degrees there. You know, the darker the purple, the more extreme the temperatures are. Just a quick look over the Arctic. We're at minus 2 degrees there in Canada, moving further over, minus 19 degrees. If we put it dead central over the Northern Hemisphere, right into the centre of the Arctic Circle, almost where the magnetic North Pole is, we can see it's minus 11 degrees. And then going down into Russia, off the Arctic Circle, minus 2.5 degrees. That goes right down into China as well. So, you know, we're at equilibrium right now. We're neither at the tilt away from the sun, and we're neither tilted towards it over the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. But what will be happening is the Southern Hemisphere will be on its orbit tilting towards the sun. It doesn't really tilt, it's just that we are on a natural angle at the moment. I think it's around about 21 degrees, something like that, 22 degrees. And as we go around the sun, you know, obviously, as you can imagine, if we do just 180 degrees, the Northern Hemisphere is no longer pointing away from the sun, it is pointing towards the sun, and another 180 degrees vice versa for the Southern Hemisphere of this Earth. And that's why we get our predictable seasons. So what I wanted to show you is, first of all, the jet streams, so we can have a look at how they look. And as you can see, indistinguishable from the polar jet stream, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, to the subtropical, both over northern and southern hemispheres. It's scattered, and you know, there is no natural pattern. This is an abnormal view of our jet streams. This is not what we are accustomed to seeing and have been for hundreds of years on this planet. What we're now looking at is a new norm, and like I said, it's probably a result of a grand solar minimum, shrinking of the heliosphere, more galactic radiation and intergalactic radiation coming through our solar system as a result of the low solar output. And then on top of that, our primary defense against cosmic rays is our magnetosphere, and is already weakened probably around about 20 to 23, maybe 4% as we speak right now, and will continue to decrease as we see our magnetic intensity over Canada decrease, the increase over Russia. We'll see the poles migrating, and when they're past that 40 degree mark, maybe we'll see a pole reversal take place and a complete reduction of the magnetosphere, or our primary protection against cosmic rays. God only knows how our weather patterns will be on our planet during that time, and God only knows how we're going to feed 7 billion people when we are already not at equilibrium. We've not reached the bottom, we've not fell off the cliff and hit the bottom yet, where we bounce back up. So we know there's much worse to come, and that means that if we're struggling now, we're going to be really struggling in the not too distant future as things progressively get worse. Main point is here, guys, is that there is no distinguishable polar jet stream and subtropical jet stream both over the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Let's just have a quick look at the residual humidity to get an idea of what's happening in regards to precipitation around the world, and it should come as no surprise that it will look something along the lines of this. So the light blue is 100%. So usually around the light blue regions we are getting rain around the world. As you can see, over northern Africa, not so much rain, not so much over southern Africa, not so much over Brazil and Australia at the moment, which is not doing farmers in Australia any good. But when you go right up into China, the same problem. But all over Europe, we're having these sporadic rainfalls, and that is a result of the interchanging polar and subtropical jet streams. It all depends on whether it's going to drop snow over more northerly latitudes or rain over towards those tropical regions. And that is because we could have cold air travelling southerly towards the equatorial region and carrying that cold air. Once it meets the hot air, we get an increase in the humidity or the residual humidity, and therefore it falls down as rain. And you can see here we are not getting a lot over Northern Africa or China, and as a result of that, those farmers in those regions are going to struggle to feed their countrymen and women. And if we do not get a plan together on this world, there are going to be some regions which are able to get crops out of the ground, and there are going to be some regions that just fail. And this is what I talk about. We've left our farmers with no choice but to gamble on whether they put crops in and or not to at all. And it is a big risk for them, and there's a lot of pressure, as you can imagine. They've got bills as well. I always say a new Holland combine harvester probably comes in around about close on £1 million, and you need this equipment. Tractors, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of equipment, as well as all the other subsidiaries that you need with them to get this crops in the ground and out the grounds. And without them you can't do the job. And if you're not bringing out crops in the yields that you would wish for or had done before, then you're going to be making some defaults on your loans and your mortgages. And this is really what we're seeing in India and Pakistan. Some of these eastern countries, they are failing year in, year out. Thousands of them taking their own lives because they are responsible for losing their families' lands that have been passed down their generation. The world is in a shambles. It's as clear as that, and it's largely down to the ground solar minimum and the magnetic pole reversal, and cloud seeding, and in turn subtropical and tropical jet streams mixing both over the northern and southern hemispheres. It's as simple as that, guys. But the worrying thing is that we are nowhere near close to the equilibrium point where things begin to get better. There's a lot of things around, if we look closely at them, that are in the same situation. Not only are we seeing things not reach equilibrium with regards to the environment which we live on, this earth. We're also seeing it with COVID-19, whether it's just an influenza with a new name, COVID-19, is regardless. It's the policies that are in place that are bankrupting businesses around the world. It's not good. And I've always said there are many obstacles on this gauntlet. One of them is the global economic system, the global food production chain and mechanisms, and then we've got climate. And climate can affect everything. If you don't have an environment that can sustain a living, then that is not an environment which you should be settling in. And I've said this before, we look back in our history, in countries like Australia, the native humans there in Australia are the Aborigines. If we look in America, the native human beings for that country were Indians, native Indians. And we see this in Africa. We have these tribes. These people have adapted to live in these harsh conditions, only that they've changed recently, that has made them a little bit more habitable for migrants to settle. And this is what's happened. But it doesn't mean that these continents can't go back to the harsh living conditions where population shrinks. What you've got to remember is, we are no different to any other species on this planet, and we do migrate. And this was one of the things I believe the Native Americans did regularly throughout the season. And we still see this in places like southern Russia. in Siberia. You know, these caribou tribes that have these caribous, they migrate them further south in the winter so that they can get food, and then they push back up further north in the summer. You know, it should come as no surprise that we are no different. The only thing that stops us this day and age doing it freely is borders, unfortunately. And it could be those borders that kill millions of people. It could be what the world elites actually want to happen. But I will say this, you know, if you live in a city, you are living in an artificial environment that requires food to be transported in regularly, waste to be transported out, and energy to be moved in. Fuel in those fuel stations that in the cities in which you live, you know, needs to be brought in regularly every week. And you know, we are facing gauntlet obstacles such as grid down, and we know what can happen during a grid down. It can shut down the logistics of a, you know, a state, a country. If that happens, pandemonium and chaos breaks out. And these are the things that we are facing today, guys. It's one of the main things we follow on this website and on YouTube. And you know, I think it is being targeted by some of the powers that be, especially over the last 6 months. I'm not stupid, and although I've not mentioned quite in detail how we have been interfered with, you know, I just hope that you trust that what I'm saying is not just paranoia. You know, people like me on YouTube are being targeted because of the topics that we talk about and follow on. And you know, it is going to come a day, I can see it, where we're going to become very few in numbers, and all of a sudden we might even disappear altogether, because I believe we've had the peak of freedom of information already. And you know, it doesn't work well with today's technology where people can talk about something and go viral, and we hardly see this happening, don't we, on YouTube these days. So it is a shame. Okay guys, I'm going to leave it here. I think we're close to the 20-minute mark on this video. Just wanted to show you a few of the changes that are taking place on our world, you know, mention to you why they are taking place, and also that we are nowhere near that point where things begin to get better. And I don't want to pretend to you guys that that is the case where things are getting better, because I think you're all adults. You deserve to know the truth, unlike some of the world governments around the world believe that you shouldn't be in the knowledge of the truth. And you know, that's one of the things that we pride ourselves here at the observatory as well. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. I'm going to mention the links down there in the comment section or on the website. You know, just click the donate link if you want to help support us. A lot of worse things you could do than support an observatory, guys, I'm sure you'll agree. And I just want to wish you a good evening. I'll catch up with you on tomorrow as we move into the beginning of a new month. Guys, be safe as always. Bye for now.